Greetings, fellow alumni. I'm standing in front of Sir Wilfrid Laurier Collegiate Institute. This high school I went to in the 70s, and it's named after our first Francophone Prime Minister, Sir Henry Charles Wilfrid Laurier. It's nestled in a wonderful community called Guildwood Village, but more about that later. Let's take a look around back. Those of you attending the school around the time I did will remember the famous smoking area. It didn't matter what age you were, you could smoke cigarettes. We used to come out that door in between classes and sneak a quick one. Behind us here, you could see through the pillars in the teacher's lounge where the smoke clouds were much worse than they were out here. Back in those days, you could buy a packet of Export Ace Smalls for 50 cents and a penny for a pack of matches, and you could smoke your brains out and make spit puddles anywhere you were. I'm standing in front of Laurier Pool. We in Guildwood Village felt very privileged to actually have a pool. Most schools didn't have them at that time, and it was actually part of the curriculum. You'll remember that Laurier had a fantastic football field where you could come and watch the Blue Devils play. It also had a wonderful track where we could do track and field practices. You'll notice that the perimeter was surrounded by an 8-foot chain-link fence, and it looks as though somebody may have fixed that hole in the fence. Oh, I'm sure a lot of you will remember the wonderful adventurous trips we had back there towards the bluffs. Yes, they definitely repaired the hole in the fence. Where are those wire cutters when you need them? Okay, so back to Guildwood Village. Right here are the Guildwood gates. They were forged originally in England, and that was for Toronto Stanley Barracks. When the barracks were destroyed in 1953, Spencer Clark retrieved them and built these gates here. The purpose was to give Guildwood Village an opening of significance. Right in front of me here is a big, huge apartment building, which used to be where the old barn was. We thought that was haunted too. And then as we go to the right, that's where the toboggan hill is when you enter down into Guildwood Village. Okay, so we're standing here at Guildwood Parkway and Livingston. And according to the original Guildwood people, everything from here north was Guildwood Village. We claimed also the plaza, and everything down Livingston Road east to Galloway Road was also part of Guildwood. Behind us here is the old plaza. There's still a lot of the original stores, but it's obviously been expanded. This is the Presbyterian Church with our brother. So for those of you who had paper routes, this is where we used to pick our papers up. Also, you'll notice this is the original Guildwood Plaza. They've added a few stores, but it's pretty much the same. To our left over here, going west, that used to be an original red and white store. And if you're early enough, you could steal their bread first thing in the morning. Hi, behind me is Guildwood Public School, now called Guildwood Junior Public School. I attended classes here from kindergarten to grade 7. And at grade 7 in my age group, they made us all go to Jack Minor for a final year of grade 8 before we graduate from elementary school. And then we went on to Sir Wilfrid Laurier. So let's take a look around back and see if we can muster up some memories. We're at the back of Guildwood Public School, and on either side of the school, on the north and south ends, were these funky structures that used to keep the rain off your heads. But they removed them, I don't know why. But to my right here, where these trees are now, that used to be Marble Alley. And when you were a kid, you used to have your little beetle boots, and you'd put the heel in the ground, you'd spin around, so we'd have a hole to play marbles. Now here we are at the drinking fountains. I'm sure you'll all remember when they opened these doors, you could get a nice cool drink of water on a hot summer day. Also, during the summer, we used to have our track and field competitions, and we used to jump into big sand pits. And if you were good enough, you'd end up competing at Birchmount Stadium. Now, as you can see here, I'm standing in front of Guildwood GO Station. Of course, when I was a kid, it didn't exist, but the freight trains did used to come through here, and there was fencing along the tracks, and homeless people used to live there. They built tents across them. We used to call them hobos. So technically, to the Guildwood people, this railroad track was our border to the north. So if you were on the other side of the tracks, you weren't in Guildwood. So we're moving south on Toynbee Trail. You'll notice that Guildwood was designed so that any place you went, you could go on a path. It was very kid-friendly, which made it unique. Now I'm going to turn right on Nuffield, and I'll show you another example of where the paths all used to interconnect. So through this path here, you could go all the way up to Guildwood School, or you could go back to Regency or Somerdale. So the intention was, with the Clarks, was that they would design a community where kids never had to see any traffic. And here's another example that takes you right back into that pathway system. And now we're back on Toynbee Trail. You can see, yet again, another example of the pathway system where you could access almost any place in Guildwood walking on those paths. Okay, we're now standing at the corner of Toynbee Trail and Dereham Wood. This road here never used to be a road. It used to just be a cinder path, but it was the connect to the Poplar Road boys. So there used to be a cinder path. There was 2 houses here we considered haunted because everything was haunted back then. We also had a pond, a swamp back here. We used to catch pollywogs. There was also a big chestnut tree where we used to harvest the chestnuts, drill holes in, put our shoelaces in, and whack one another with it. So the very most eastern point of Guildwood Village is that road down there, which is called Galloway Road. Now we're standing at Galloway Road in Dereham Wood. This was the border. Anything east was considered Poplar Road because the Poplar Road School is just a couple blocks that way. Anything west was all Guildwood Village. This strip used to be a racing strip, and the kids used to actually have a blue quarter-mile mark painted down the road so we could time it off. Yes, I thought it only appropriate that we do our final shot in front of the Guild Inn, which is where it all started with the Clarks. Just to recap the borders, everything from the Guildwood Hill, the gates down to Galloway, was our east and west borders. Everything from the Bluffs to the GO station are the north and south borders, but this doesn't include all the area behind the plaza, which we consider Cadillac Henley and the Elizabeth Simcoe people. Now, please take this information in the vein that it was intended from someone who lived on Regency Square and is entirely biased. If you disagree with my opinions or my borders, please make your own film and submit it to Michelle Peters. Thank you very much for taking this ride back in time.